Wait, so you're telling me I can have a fighter, a familiar, and be able to resist more like mind attacks and stuff, but all I gotta give up is like a few feats? You're lying! Dun 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 dun. Besides! Today, I want to tell you a bit about the Eldritch Guardian. It's a fighter archetype that gives you a familiar. It seems like a pretty cool mashup, right? With a number of familiars out there, feats your fighters can take, races and skills you can specialize into, the combinations are endless. First, I think we should go over what exactly an Eldritch Guardian is. Once again, we go to the D20 PFSRD. Eldritch Guardians are trained to detect and give warning about magic threats to the people and places they protect. Okay, so just reading this gives us a good sense of flavor. Short and sweet and with small words, most fighters can read this and know what their job would be. You are guarding your party members, and what would be the best way to get a solid heads up that something is coming? Let's continue to find out. Firstly, you would be getting a different set of skills. Your class skills. The Eldritch Guardian adds Perception, Spellcraft, and Use Magic Device to his list of class skills, but does not gain Intimidate, Ride, or Swim as class skills. Considering you lose less used skills and gain some of the most commonly used skills in-game, this is a win-win right here. To be fair, as a fighter you get access to heavy armor, and with the lightest heavy armor, you would still be taking heavy penalties to swim and ride checks at -5 at the lowest and -7 at the highest. Let the ranger be fancy on a horse or swim to reach places you can't for right now. Your job should be to stick with the magic users anyways. You could see something they don't, or catch a special marking on a spell they don't see, or even tell the wizard what the spell is that's being cast right now so they can attempt to counterspell. Good skills to have right there. Next on the agenda is just how you would get an advance warning that enemies are inbound. Familiar. At first level, an Eldritch Guardian gains a familiar, treating his fighter level as his effective wizard level for the purpose of this ability. This ability replaces the bonus feat gained at first level. So, you lose your first level bonus combat feat. Not much of a loss considering you still have so many more feats to gain. Plus, you get a familiar and that oh-so-important familiar bonus. Going into tactical detail here, you could get a raven so your bonus would be to appraise, again having a chance to one-up the wizard with their identification of magical items. But at the same time, you could use the raven to scout up in the sky while you're adventuring, or maybe it's perched in the upper part of a ceiling while you are waiting for a ritual to be done, giving you a chance to ambush your enemies that are coming up on you. Or your familiar could be a rat, giving you a bonus to fortitude saves. Little Whiskers just so happens to be able to scope a place out before returning to let you know that there are enemies in the next room. Familiars add a lot to roleplay as well, with some added drama if they are hit or lost. It gives the GM something to give you for story aside from vanilla fighter stories like the Swordsmaster's blade is lost in Temple X. All this for a feat you probably didn't need just yet, especially if you are in the oh-so-common area of starting the game at level 3. The next on the list is Shared Training. At second level, when the familiar can see and hear its master, it can use any combat feat possessed by the Eldritch Guardian. The familiar doesn't have to meet the feat's prerequisites, but at the GM's discretion may be precluded from using certain combat feats due to its physical form. For example, an Eldritch Guardian's pig familiar with access to exotic weapon proficiency, Spike Chain, would not gain the ability to use Spike Chains since it doesn't have any limbs capable of properly handling them. This ability replaces the bonus feat gained at second level. So, I'm going to let that sink in for a second. Okay, so shared training is a weird one. Your familiar gets access to any combat feat you have, as long as they are physically capable of doing the thing you do yourself. I feel like the ability description explained this very well. Now, the fun part of this, however, is that most teamwork feats are also combat feats. So if you took Outflank, your flanking bonus would double as long as your familiar is over there on the other side. This may seem scary as of right now, but there are more bonuses to be had from this. Since your familiar would have your bab, this means they have a much higher chance to hit than a normal familiar. Also, with the high allotment of feats, you could always pursue the art of dirty trick. You pick up combat expertise, which lets you drop your bab by 1 so your AC can go up by 1. This would be pretty good for little Whiskers, but then imagine Whiskers using his turn to use dirty trick on the big bad end guy to scratch at his eyes and cause the villain to be blinded for a turn, allowing him to be flat-footed for you when you and Mr. Rogue go in for the kill. That's win-win-win-win-win-win in my book. In exchange for this blessing, you give up the bonus feat you gain at 2nd level. Again, all you've given up at this point is 10% of your feats. For a familiar, that's almost worth a dang. Stay tuned to the end to see how to make it all worth it. Now for the final ability you get as an Eldritch Guardian. Still Will. At 2nd level, the Eldritch Guardian gains a +1 bonus on will saves against fear and mind-affecting effects. This bonus increases by 1 for every 4 levels beyond 2nd. This ability replaces Bravery. Straight up upgrade over Bravery. Bravery only affected fear effects, while now you get it for fear and enchantment? Considering a GM's best way to kill the spellcasters is to charm the meat shields, this is a vast improvement. Can't go wrong with this. Not much else to say. Now for the best way to get your familiar to be combat ready. Absolutely, you should go with the Mauler archetype. Essentially, it makes the familiar battle ready. It gains strength instead of intelligence. The bond gives you a morale bonus to hit and damage for a round after it drops a foe to 0 HP. And it can grow in size at 3rd level to medium sized. Holy crap, a turtle would be terrifying! And it gains DR5 to magic at 11th. It's so worth using. For inspiration, I've got a few ideas. First off, you've got Link from The Legend of Zelda. Like, him and his owl. The owl is always there. The owl is just like, always there telling him, hey Link, don't forget to do a thing with the shmushage pro. But realistically, Link would totally be a fighter. He would have the use magic device. He would have the perception. And he would just, I mean, sure, also you can make the argument that he can swim and ride as well, but no, we're not using that right now. And then also the fact that the owl could just be always up in the sky, keeping an eye out for whenever there's an ambush being planned or something, and go, hey Link, don't forget to press the A button when you go to do the thing with the stuff. That's what I've got so far as an inspiration when it comes to Link anyways. The next one on the list, though, is probably the best inspiration I could think of. It's going to be Aladdin and Abu. Just because of the fact that your familiar would be using your skill ranks and your feats and everything. Plus it gets its own feats anyways. But technically you could take Weapon Focus Dagger and then Dazzling Display. And then every time you're in the middle of a fight, I understand that you lose access to Intimidate as a class skill. But you could still be taking ranks in Intimidate, and then every time you're in the middle of a fight, you could have your monkey familiar use Dazzling Display, which would shaken all the opponents within 30 feet as if they failed a will save, and that they would be getting a -2 to a lot of things. So, totally worth it. Abu totally does it a couple times in Aladdin, and yeah. That's everything I've got so far for the Eldritch Guardian. Yeah, so you go out there and make you a super duper awesome fighter guy that has a little birdie on his shoulder, a little rat that he keeps in his pocket. And, you know, like, every once in a while he's just like, hey little guy, are you being good today? Oh, there's a bad guy. Get back in there. Thanks for sticking through the video. I don't have a catch line or a catchphrase to play me out of the video, so I'm just gonna sing and sing until you guys just click off. Don't forget the thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe. I'm just gonna thank you for watching the video.